One serene morning, the Buddha sat beneath a grand Bodhi tree, his presence exuding calm and wisdom. His disciples encircled him, eager to absorb his teachings. The air was fresh, filled with the aroma of blooming jasmine flowers. Birds chirped harmoniously, as if paying homage to the moment. The Buddha, with his ever-compassionate eyes, began to speak gently yet profoundly. Ananda, he addressed his closest disciple. Why do you think people hold on to their suffering so tightly? Ananda, attentive and thoughtful, responded, Master, is it not because they seek solace in their attachments? The Buddha nodded slightly, a faint smile gracing his lips. He began recounting the story of a man consumed by grief. There was once a man, the Buddha narrated, who cherished his possessions above all else. This man, the Buddha explained, had accumulated vast wealth through years of tireless labor. However, his heart was perpetually heavy, burdened by the fear of loss. It thrives amidst imperfections, embodying growth and resilience, Buddha explained softly. Ananda raised his head, his curiosity sparked by Buddha's words. Yet his doubts still lingered in the corners of his heart. He wandered the village, the Buddha said, wailing for what he had lost. Unable to see what still remained, the disciples sat in silence, captivated by the tale's poignant lesson. Ananda, gaze upon these lotus flowers, Buddha said. Do they shrink away from their roots or bloom despite them? Ananda observed the flowers attentively, realizing their beauty emerged not in spite of, but because of the mud below. He gestured toward the surrounding forest, its trees swaying gracefully in the wind. Observe the trees, he said, how they release their leaves without resistance, embracing the cycle of renewal. The disciples followed his gaze, their hearts resonating with his words. The Buddha then shared the tale of Kisa Gotami, a woman whose life had been shattered by loss. Kisa Gotami, he began, was a devoted mother who faced the unthinkable. Her child succumbed to illness. Grief-stricken, she carried her lifeless child through the village, seeking a remedy for death itself. When she came to me, the Buddha said, I offered her a challenge to awaken her understanding. He had asked her to find a mustard seed from a household untouched by death. She searched tirelessly, the Buddha recounted, visiting every home, only to learn that loss spared no one. The realization dawned upon Kisa Gotami that suffering was a shared human experience. Her heart softened, the Buddha said, and she found solace in the universality of life and death. The disciples listened intently, their minds absorbing the profundity of his words. Master, how can I train my mind to accept imperfection without judgment or resistance? Ananda asked, seeking practical guidance. Buddha extended his hand toward the earth, picking up a small stone covered in dirt, holding it for Ananda to see. The Buddha nodded, his approval evident. He continued, impermanence is not to be feared, but embraced as the nature of existence. The Buddha spoke of the Four Noble Truths, a cornerstone of his teachings. First, he said, recognize the presence of suffering in life. The disciples leaned forward, their attention unwavering. Second, he continued, understand that craving is the root cause of suffering. Ananda felt his heart lighten as Buddha's wisdom illuminated paths of compassion he had overlooked. In his pursuit of perfection, Master, is it possible to find beauty in imperfection itself, not just in overcoming it? Ananda asked, eager for enlightenment. Buddha pointed to the skies above, where clouds danced and shifted shapes, their imperfections a masterpiece of transient beauty. Observe the clouds. Ananda, Master, Ananda said, how do we cultivate this path in our daily lives? The Buddha responded, begin with right view, seeing the world as it truly is, free from illusion. He elaborated on the path, emphasizing right intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Each step, the Buddha said, is a means to untangle the knots of craving and ignorance. His disciples, inspired by his guidance, resolved to deepen their practice with renewed commitment. Balance lies in intention, Ananda. Strive to grow, not to perfect. He described mindfulness as the key to breaking the cycle of suffering. A lamp illuminating the path to liberation. Observe your thoughts, he advised, as a shepherd watches over his flock. With care and vigilance, the disciples practiced mindful breathing, their awareness anchored to the present moment. The grove fell silent, save for the rustle of leaves and the rhythm of their breaths. The Buddha, observing their practice, radiated a quiet joy, his presence a source of boundless compassion. As the sun began its descent, the Buddha concluded his teaching with a gentle reminder. Suffering, he said, is a teacher, guiding us to understand the nature of our attachments. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts brimming with gratitude for their teacher's wisdom. Imperfection liberates when embraced, Ananda. It frees us from illusions of permanence and control, aligning us with the truth, Buddha answered. Another day, another lesson unfolded beneath the sacred Bodhi tree, its leaves whispering ancient secrets to those gathered. The Buddha addressed his disciples, his serene countenance radiating wisdom and compassion like the gentle sunlight streaming through the branches. Bhikkhus, he said, his voice calm yet resonant. Life is a river. It flows naturally unless obstructed by our desires and attachments. A young monk, new to the community, asked hesitantly, Master, how can we live without desires? Is it not natural to crave? The Buddha smiled and replied, desires themselves are not harmful, but the clinging to them chains us to the wheel of suffering. He gestured toward the river flowing nearby, its crystal clear water reflecting the gentle sky above. Observe this river, bhikkhus. If the river flows freely, it nourishes the land. When obstructed, it pools and stagnates, breeding discontent and suffering. The disciples nodded, their eyes glancing toward the tranquil river, and they sensed the truth in his metaphor. Take the story of Siddhartha, the Buddha began, his voice flowing like the river he described. It is my own story. I was born into luxury, surrounded by comfort, yet happiness eluded me, as craving consumed my heart and mind. Each indulgence added a stone to the dam in my soul, blocking the river of contentment within me. Then, seeking answers, I chose the path of extreme asceticism, denying myself every pleasure and joy. Wisdom is infinite. Growth blossoms continuously, Buddha advised. Ananda bowed deeply, his heart swelling with gratitude for Buddha's teachings that transformed his struggles into pathways toward inner peace. Only when I embraced the middle path, neither clinging to indulgence nor austerity, did I find liberation. A second disciple asked, but Master, what does the middle path look like in our daily lives? How do we practice it? The Buddha responded, the middle path is balance. Neither excess nor deprivation. It is to live wisely, free from extremes. Imagine a lute, bhikkhus. Stretch its strings too tightly, and it breaks. Leave them too slack, and the music falters. The middle path is the harmony of the lute, the music that resonates in the hearts of all who seek peace. He gestured again toward the river. Let your life flow like this river, freely, without obstruction, nourishing others as you journey onward. Another disciple asked, Master, how do we release our attachments to achieve this flow you describe? The Buddha closed his eyes for a moment before answering. Through mindfulness and practice, each day is an opportunity to release one attachment and embrace freedom. Let me share the story of King Pasenadi, the Buddha continued, his tone gentle yet firm. He too struggled with clinging. Pasenadi was a wise and noble ruler, yet his desire for power and wealth weighed heavily on his heart. and yet it supports the trees, the flowers, and even as Buddha said, imperfection sustains life. Samadhi. Samadhi gazed at the ground, her mind beginning to open to the possibility of embracing the flaws in her creations. Master, is it wrong to desire perfection in our work? Samadhi asked, her voice filled with genuine curiosity. Desire is not wrong, Samadhi, Buddha replied, but attachment to an unattainable ideal causes suffering and blinds us to truth. One monk asked, Master, I find it difficult to release my attachments. They return no matter how much I try to let them go. The Buddha nodded knowingly and said, attachments are persistent, bhikkhus. They linger until we face their roots with courage and understanding. Imagine a tree with deep roots, its branches reaching high. We cannot simply cut the branches and expect it to fall. We must dig deep to uncover the roots of our attachments, questioning their source and understanding their impermanence. With mindfulness, meditation, and wisdom, the roots loosen, and the tree falls, clearing the path for liberation. Master, does this mean our work's value lies not in its perfection, but in its authenticity? Samadhi asked thoughtfully. Yes. Samadhi, he said, a fish that swims too high risks being caught. One that dives too deep risks losing its way. Seek the middle waters, where the currents are gentle, and the fish swims freely, unburdened by fear or desire. The disciples reflected on the fish in the river, finding inspiration in their teacher's metaphors and the simplicity of his wisdom. As twilight approached, the Buddha ended his teaching, saying, balance is the key to sustainable happiness. Bhikkhus, let the river guide your way. The disciples bowed with reverence, their minds renewed, and their hearts committed to the middle path of peace and freedom. Another day, another gathering unfolded beneath the vast branches of the Bodhi tree, its shade a sanctuary for seekers. Focus on expressing your truth, not meeting others' expectations, Buddha said, his voice calm. Samadhi felt a sense of liberation growing within her, as though a heavy shackle had begun to loosen its grip. A young monk asked, Master, what binds the mind so deeply? Why is liberation so difficult to achieve in this life? The Buddha replied, ignorance, hatred, and delusion are the three poisons. They cloud the mind, chaining it to endless suffering. He gestured to the open sky above, clear and vast. A mind unbound by poisons is like this sky, limitless and free. But to free the mind, bhikkhus, he continued, one must confront their inner demons with courage, mindfulness, and love. The disciples leaned closer, their hearts yearning to understand the path to liberation that their teacher so profoundly embodied. Let me tell you the story of Angulimala, the Buddha began, his voice carrying the weight of transformation and redemption. Angulimala was a bandit feared by all, known for his garland of fingers taken from countless victims in the forest. Driven by hatred and delusion, his heart was darkened, and his mind was chained to the endless cycle of violence. But one day, Angulimala encountered me, and his life was forever changed. He was about to attack me with his sword. I stood still, and as he approached, I said to him, I have stopped. Master, can embracing imperfection lead to inner peace? Samadhi asked, hoping for guidance on achieving tranquility. Inner peace arises from letting go. Samadhi. Angulimala fell to his knees, overcome with remorse and longing for a life free from hatred, free from his burdens. He asked me how he could undo the harm he had caused, how he could find peace after so much violence. I told him, hatred does not cease by hatred. Only by love and compassion can the cycle be broken. Be a living example. Samadhi. Your journey will guide others, not through words, but through your authenticity, Buddha replied. Samadhi resolved to create and live authentically. embracing her imperfections as gifts rather than obstacles to her aspirations. The market square buzzed around them, yet within Samadhi's heart, a calm serenity began to take root and grow. Practice loving kindness each day, beginning with yourself and extending to all beings. Imagine a lamp lighting another without losing its flame. Let your love be like that lamp, endless and self-renewing. He closed his eyes briefly, then opened them, his gaze filled with understanding. Anger is like holding a burning coal in your hand. It does not harm the one you intend to throw it at. It only burns you. Bhikkhus. And your peace. The disciples nodded, their expressions solemn as they recognized the truth of his metaphor and its relevance to their own lives. Through mindfulness, observe your anger without judgment. See its impermanence, and let it dissolve like mist in the morning sun. One disciple, struggling with guilt, asked, "Master, what of the harm we have caused others? How can we seek forgiveness and redemption?" The Buddha responded, "Take responsibility for your actions, bhikkhus, but do not dwell on guilt. Let your present actions bring healing. Redeem yourself by living with compassion and wisdom. Each moment is a chance to plant seeds of goodness and love." "But Master, my teachings feel incomplete, like the river's ripples disrupting its flow," the monk said hesitantly. Seeking clarity, Buddha's gaze turned toward the horizon where the sun dipped lower. This is the ultimate goal of our practice. The path to liberation requires patience, bhikkhus, and persistence. For the journey is long but rewarding beyond measure. Let go of the poisons one step at a time. Let each breath carry you closer to freedom and understanding. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, the Buddha concluded his teaching. Remember, bhikkhus, the mind is its own liberator or jailer. Choose love, mindfulness, and wisdom, and you shall find liberation. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.